The philosopher who questioned everything and found nothing. Have you ever felt like nothing in life really makes sense? Like every answer you find just leads to more questions? If so, you're not alone. There was once a man who spent his entire life searching for truth, questioning everything, doubting everything, only to realize, in the end, that certainty might be impossible. That man was Pyrrho of Elis, the founder of skepticism, one of the most radical schools of philosophy in history. His ideas were so extreme that he didn't just question reality, he refused to trust his own senses. But what happens when you take doubt to its absolute limit? What happens when you believe that nothing can ever be known for sure? Let's dive into the strange, fascinating, and sometimes absurd life of Pyrrho, the man who doubted everything. Pyrrho was born around 365 BCE in Greece. Unlike many other philosophers, he didn't spend his youth studying under great thinkers in Athens. Instead, he traveled. And one journey in particular changed everything. Pyrrho joined Alexander the Great on his conquest of the East. As part of the expedition, he encountered the wise men of India, philosophers known as the gymnosophists, who practiced extreme forms of detachment from the material world. He also met the Persian magi, who had their own mysterious spiritual traditions. These encounters shook him to his core. He realized that everywhere he went, people claimed to have found the truth, but their truths contradicted one another. If one culture's beliefs were true, did that mean all the others were wrong? Or was the truth something no one could ever really grasp? This led him to a radical conclusion: maybe human beings are incapable of knowing anything for certain. Pyrrho began to develop a philosophy of total skepticism. He argued that for every argument, there is an equal and opposite argument. No matter what you believe, there will always be someone just as intelligent who believes the exact opposite. So how can you be sure you are the one who is right? His solution: complete suspension of judgment. That he believed that if you stop trying to figure out what is true or false, you free yourself from stress, anxiety, and disappointment. But here's where it gets weird. Pyrrho didn't just apply this skepticism to philosophy, he applied it to everything. Stories about him say that he refused to trust his senses at all. If he saw a cliff, he wouldn't assume it was dangerous. If he saw a speeding cart, he wouldn't assume it could hurt him. His followers claimed that he had to be physically pulled out of harm's way by his friends because he refused to believe in danger. Now, was this an exaggeration? Maybe. But it highlights the extreme nature of his ideas. He wasn't just a philosopher, he was an experiment. And here's the strangest part: despite his seemingly reckless way of living, Pyrrho was remarkably calm. He wasn't tormented by doubts or fears. He wasn't stressed about the meaning of life. While others fought over truth, he simply existed, free from the burden of having to be right. To him, the constant search for absolute truth was a trap. The more you try to define the world, the more frustrated you become. But if you stop trying to force reality into neat little categories, you can finally experience peace. This idea became the foundation of Pyrrhonism, the earliest form of skepticism. His followers believed that happiness comes not from knowing, but from not needing to know. But can we really live like that? Sure, questioning everything can be useful. It helps us avoid false beliefs, it keeps our minds open, and it can lead to surprising discoveries. But at some point, don't we have to trust something? Pyrrho might have been onto something when he said that certainty is dangerous. History has shown us that people often become cruelest when they believe they hold the ultimate truth. But on the other hand, a world where nothing is certain can be just as terrifying. How do you make decisions? How do you find meaning? How do you build a life if you refuse to believe anything for sure? Maybe the key is balance. A little doubt keeps us humble, but too much doubt can leave us lost. Pyrrho's philosophy challenges us to question what we take for granted, to accept that we might be wrong, and to find peace in uncertainty. But at the end of the day, each of us has to decide: do we embrace doubt fully, like Pyrrho? Or do we choose to believe in something, even if we know it might not be absolute? Whatever the answer is, if there even is one thing is certain: the search for truth is what makes us human. That if you found this exploration of pyro-skepticism fascinating, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We dive deep into philosophy, history, and the biggest questions of life, so join us on this journey of thought and discovery. See you in the next one.